The drama opens up in the year 2018 with our main character So-hee, who is known as a liar hunter. She has a unique ability to detect the lies of a person by listening to their answers. One day, So-hee is hired by a gang boss to interrogate 3 men he suspects of betrayal. She arrives at the location and interrogates each of the suspects, asking them if they leaked the company details. Unfortunately, after hearing their replies, So-hee quickly realizes that the men are innocent and that the real traitor is the boss's second-in-command. Following this, he orders his men to punish the traitor, and So-hee makes him promise not to kill the man before leaving with her payment. On her way home, So-hee spots a man wearing the same soccer jersey as her, but carrying a bloody shirt. She does not notice the shirt, but is happy to see people loving football in this part of the world. The next day, the second-in-command gangster So-hee exposed the previous night shows up at her house seeking revenge. As soon as she sees him, So-hee flees and manages to catch a bus to Seoul. On the bus, she encounters a man named Kim Do-ha, who is being attacked by another passenger, Yeom-ho, over a family matter. Yeom-ho tells Kim that his sister, with whom he had been in a relationship, is missing and asks for his help to search for her. However, Kim refuses to assist him and also mentions that he broke up with Yeom-ho's sister some days before. Enraged, Yeom-ho starts punching Kim, stopping the bus from leaving. Noticing that the gangster is about to enter the same bus, So-hee intervenes and kicks Yeom-ho off the bus, telling him that he is Kim's new girlfriend. As the bus continues its journey, So-hee questions Kim about why he didn't defend himself when he's innocent. In reply, Kim tells her that she knows nothing about him to question his personal matters. Here, So-hee reveals herself as the liar hunter by giving him her card, but the latter pays no attention to her. The scene then fast-forwards 5 years to 2023, where So-hee is inside an expensive car driven by her assistant Ji-hyun to meet a wealthy client named Ji-hyun. Ji-hyun actually hired her because she wants to know if her new love, Ji-woon, truly loves her or is after her money. Ji-hyun introduces So-hee as her cousin to her boyfriend, and they sit around for lunch. During lunch, So-hee starts questioning Ji-woon about his motives for getting into a relationship with Ji-hyun, and learns that he initially got into the relationship for money, but slowly started liking her. However, later, when Ji-hyun's maid arrives there to serve drinks, So-hee discovers that Ji-woon is having an affair with the maid, and they're expecting a child, and reveals it to her client. Hearing this, Ji-hyun is heartbroken, but still pays So-hee for her services. Afterward, while returning with her assistant Ji-hyun, So-hee is asked why she works so hard but never indulges herself. In reply, she explains that she raises her fees to support her employees and cover her living expenses, but isn't motivated by greed. Ji-hyun then suggests that So-hee offer new services to her clients, but she declines the idea. So-hee doesn't like rituals because she believes her special ability, hearing a loud sound when someone lies, might be connected to a ritual her mother did while pregnant. In the past, we can see So-hee's mom praying to the gods of every religion to provide her child with a special ability to live a happy life. Surprisingly, when So-hee's born with her unique power, she initially dislikes it, but later realizes that she can use it to make a living. In high school, she decides to become a liar hunter instead of a prosecutor. She starts pretending to be a shaman who can detect lies and creates a successful brand. However, she can only uncover lies when hearing them in person, so she needs to travel personally to her clients. Back to the car ride, Ji-hyun talks about Kim Do-ha, a famous songwriter. Ji-hyun is excited about an award show he'll attend, hoping to see Kim, who never shows his face even in Zoom meetings. The scene then shifts to Kim, who's driving nervously at night, wearing a mask and ignoring calls from a famous singer, Hwang. At a police checkpoint, he gets anxious when asked to take an alcohol breathalyzer test and needs to open his mask. To his good luck, he manages to escape when another car hits an officer on duty and runs away. After this, Kim goes to a secluded spot, but his secret of not being comfortable in revealing his face in public remains unknown. Meanwhile, the award show goes on, with Hwang performing and Kim winning the Best Composer award. On Kim's behalf, Hwang collects the award and expects to hand it over in person. At the after-party, people ask Hwang about Kim. and Deok-chan, the CEO of the agency with whom Kim is working, helps handle inquiries. Right then, Mr. Park, another songwriter, claims that Kim copied his song and demands a personal meeting. However, Deok-chan denies his accusation and takes him to the side for a talk. Later, the paparazzi follow Sean to learn where she'll deliver Kim's award. In the next scene, Sean visits Kim's apartment and hands him his trophy. She even tries to flirt with him, but Kim shows no interest in her and asks her to leave. He then takes anxiety medication and has a nightmare about murdering a girl. The next day, Cassandra, So-hee's employee, welcomes a new client at her tarot shop and lets her have a secret meeting with So-hee. Meanwhile, Deok-chan tries to warn Kim not to go home, but he doesn't see the messages. Following this, when Kim arrives outside his apartment, one of the reporters confronts him, triggering his anxiety and causing him to run to his apartment. Later, Deok-chan arrives there and suggests Kim move to his secret house, and the latter eventually agrees. The next morning, posters of a masked criminal are seen, and people hope he'll be caught. So-hee tells Cassandra about an incident with a pervert, and the former gives her a protection charm, a pepper spray. The scene then shifts to a late-night shopkeepers' cooperative meeting at a nearby bar, and So-hee has doubts about attending. Eventually, she goes and joins other shop owners, Oh-baek, Bo-ro, and Cho-rok. At the same time, Kim wears a mask and walks towards the new house. So-hee's group discusses the masked pervert issue, and at the same time, Cassandra is attacked by one. Bo-ro catches a masked man he believes is the culprit, but it turns out to be Kim, who recognizes So-hee from a previous encounter. Fortunately, So-hee defends Kim and prevents Cho-rok from unmasking him, and asserts his innocence. Cassandra also intervenes and reveals that she mistakenly sprayed her perfume instead of pepper spray on the pervert, and can't smell her scent on Kim, exonerating him. Oh-baek, who has a keen sense of smell, then helps identify the real culprit by sniffing everyone in the crowd. Soon, they discover the culprit wearing a two-sided hoodie and trying to blend in. Cassandra subdues him, and he's eventually arrested. With the focus on the captured culprit, So-hee tells Kim that he can leave. When he asks why she helped him, she insists she was just telling the truth. Kim recognizes So-hee from their 2018 bus trip, but she doesn't seem to remember it. Here we learn that Kim has moved to So-hee's neighborhood following Deok-chan's advice, becoming her neighbor. While So-hee contemplates Kim's mysterious actions and wearing a mask, he is next door checking for updates on the Hakcheon Beach missing persons case. The next morning, Kim wakes up refreshed, observing the serene atmosphere of the neighborhood from his balcony. Meanwhile, So-hee assists a client in avoiding a land scam and uses her payment to buy a gold bar, which she adds to her safe. Right then, she receives a notification about her monthly expenses, which frustrates her as her mother has spent a large amount on her credit card. Without wasting any time, So-hee then visits her mother at a restaurant, where her mom is trying to con a doctor. She intervenes, putting a stop to her mother's scheme, and refuses to pay her high monthly expenses. However, her mom is upset and defends her right to spend as she pleases, warning So-hee not to interfere with her business. So-hee tries to give her mom an ultimatum by threatening to cut ties, but her mom calls her bluff and angrily leaves the restaurant. So-hee then returns home and finds solace in postcards from her dad. Meanwhile, Deok-chan is happy to hear that Kim is enjoying his time in Yeonseeo and promises to send him some of his belongings. Sean also tries to talk to Kim, but he quickly hangs up. Deok-chan advises Sean to find someone who genuinely likes her instead of pursuing Kim, but she believes he has hidden feelings for her and refuses to give up. In the next scene, Kim visits a jazz club and plays the piano for the audience. A customer demands to see his face and grabs his glasses, but Kim refuses to comply. The club owner, Jung-kyu, understands Kim's situation and intervenes, encouraging Kim to leave. At night, Kim and So-hee both watch their soccer teams play against each other in their rooms. They order food and coincidentally meet at their entrance when collecting their orders. So-hee recognizes him and is surprised to discover that Kim is her new neighbor. In reply, the latter explains that he moved in recently. After the match ends, So-hee is happy because her team won. while Kim feels disheartened because his team lost. The following morning, Kim waits in his car as movers are to bring in his belongings. Right then, Ji-hyun arrives to pick up So-hee and is fascinated by Kim's expensive car. He tries to take a photo but accidentally scratches it. Seeing this, Kim walks out of his car, surprising him, and forgives Ji-hyun, which So-hee finds strange. In Seoul, Deok-chan encounters Mr. Park, who is upset about his behavior at the award after-party. The latter questions the relationship between Sean and Kim, and cleverly records Deok-chan admitting that the two met at night. He then threatens to share the recording with the reporters, and in return, demands to meet Kim by the end of the week. Meanwhile, Kim goes to meet his mother after getting a call from her. They talk in his car, where she checks on his well-being and requests Sean's autograph for a business deal. She also advises him against dating Sean, reminding him of their past predicament. Kim's mother hopes that he'll choose a better partner next time and suggests they have a meal together in the future. However, Kim declines to get into a relationship in the future, shocking his mom when he implies that she's afraid he might harm her, just like he did with someone in the past. The next day, Mr. Park pays a visit to So-hee's tarot cafe and hires her to eavesdrop on his meeting with Kim and signal to him whenever he lies. Elsewhere, Yeom-ho, who is still haunted by his sister's disappearance, is arrested for impersonating a police officer and taken to the police station. He is frustrated with the police for what he perceives as negligence in his sister's case. As night falls, Kim meets with Mr. Park while So-hee listens to their conversation from another private room. Mr. Park insists that Kim drinks with him and brings up allegations of song plagiarism, but the latter vehemently denies ever plagiarizing anyone's work, and So-hee signals to Mr. Park that he's telling the truth. However, So-hee discovers that Mr. Park is lying about his own work ethics. He is the actual plagiarizer. After the meeting, Mr. Park is frustrated that he didn't get the information he wanted. Soon, Kim leaves, and So-hee warns Mr. Park to settle her payment before she exposes him for plagiarism. She then exits the cafe and informs Ji-hyun that she knows Sean and Kim are not dating. Ji-hyun is surprised and asks how she found out. In response, to make Ji-hyun more curious, So-hee hints that she might have met Kim in person. Upon arriving home, So-hee discovers that Kim has passed out in front of their building. She examines him closely and becomes increasingly convinced that he is indeed the mysterious Kim. She takes off his mask, revealing his face for the first time. But as she tries to put the mask back on, Kim wakes up and grabs her arm. He then leaves her without giving her a chance to explain. Next, Deok-chan visits Kim and tries to reassure him that So-hee might have been trying to help since he passed out. Kim is worried that So-hee might remember their encounter on the bus in Hakcheon. However, Deok-chan tells him not to overreact since there's only one blurry photo of him on the internet, and So-hee doesn't know his secret. Meanwhile, So-hee learns that Kim is the mysterious songwriter working with Sean, but is still confused about him hiding his identity. That night, Kim remains at his apartment, anxiously searching for updates on the Hakcheon case. Sadly, his insomnia returns, and he struggles to sleep. The following morning, he visits a pharmacy to purchase sleep aids. Upon returning to his apartment, he is alarmed to find journalists waiting for another celebrity. He decides it's too risky to stay and leaves the apartment. Next, So-hee spots Kim arriving, but notices he's trying to hide his identity. She then apologizes to him about the mask incident and explains that she was worried about him. Kim asks if she remembers him and what she thought after seeing his face, but So-hee still doesn't remember their past encounter. She only tells him that he's handsome but not her type. As they chat, a man approaches them, claiming to have lost his phone and needing to make an urgent call. So-hee senses that the man is telling the truth and lends him her phone. Kim, having no idea about So-hee being a lie hunter, tries to warn her about potential con artists, but she insists that the man is honest. Kim begins to wonder why So-hee is so trusting, but she clarifies that she trusts no one. The next day, So-hee's mom, Hyang-suk, sends her daughter a picture pretending to be in line for food donations. Seeing this, So-hee calls her mom, determined not to fall for her tricks this time. and refuses to help until her mom proves she's telling the truth. Meanwhile, Deok-chan's brother, Jae-chan, who also works for the company, confronts him about a reduced paycheck. Deok-chan explains that he cut the funds Jae-chan misappropriated from the company and warns him to stop getting involved in failed businesses. Right then, Deok-chan receives a call and momentarily leaves his brother Jae-chan alone, during which Jae-chan steals his car keys. He checks the car's history to discover that Deok-chan frequently visited a neighborhood in Yongseo. Jae-chan then decides to trade this information with Sean in exchange for her promoting his burger restaurant. In the following scene, Hyung-suk mistakenly arrives outside Kim's apartment, assuming it to be her daughter's, and through her notes, asks for money. Fortunately, So-hee arrives there in time, and a confrontation between mother and daughter ensues. Hyung-suk pretends to have vocal cord nodules, but So-hee sees through her act. They argue, and So-hee eventually gives her mother some money to make her leave. That night, So-hee and Kim coincidentally stand on their respective balconies, and the former apologizes for her mother's behavior and shares more about their strained relationship. Kim understands her situation and reveals that he has his own family issues, offering So-hee some comfort. The next day, they encounter each other in the elevator, and Kim overhears So-hee discussing a blind date with her client, leading him to misunderstand her relationship status. So-hee stops by the Tarot Cafe and talks to Cassandra about a man she saw earlier, not realizing it was Detective Lee Gong-min. Later that evening, So-hee meets a female client and her fiancé, suspecting that the guy is lying. After an interaction, So-hee confirms her suspicions and advises her client to end the relationship, but she still refuses to give up. This conversation makes So-hee reflect on her past relationship with Gang-min, remembering their love and why it ended. Sad, So-hee goes to a bar to drink, where she encounters Ji-hyun, the man who had an affair with his girlfriend's maid previously. Here, Ji-hyun confronts So-hee, blaming her for ruining his life. Fortunately, Kim is also there, playing the piano for the crowd, and notices So-hee in trouble. He then intervenes, trying to protect her. In his haste, he forgets to put on his mask, revealing his face to So-hee. Following this, Kim drives the intoxicated So-hee home and notices her enjoying the music and acting cute. They end up having a meal at the restaurant, with So-hee playfully teasing Kim and questioning why he secludes himself. She also suggests he can be relaxed around her and assures him that people are too busy with their lives to care about him as much as he thinks. Meanwhile, Sean is driving around Yeonseo's neighborhood in search of Kim's apartment, unaware that paparazzi are following her. After a while, Kim drops So-hee off at the parking gate of their apartment building and moves forward to park the car. During this, So-hee notices two reporters outside the apartment and suspects that they're paparazzi looking for Kim and tries to warn him. In the last scene, to divert the reporters' attention, So-hee rushes toward Kim and calls him her boyfriend, blocking the paparazzi cameras.